In my last video, I talked about how disappointed I was by the recent Alien TV show and was subsequently accused of being a grifter, an attention-seeking wannabe influencer, and an incel. All because I didn't like a show that some others did. So today I want to talk about a recent release that I not only liked, but loved. Weapons, a movie that just came out and has been talked about a lot, receiving praise from most critics and audience members, and I agree with them. So for anyone who thinks I'm just an edgelord clickbaiting people and trying to get attention by hating on popular stuff, that's not true. I've made negative videos in the past, of course, but I've made plenty of positive ones, and all my videos contain thoughtful reasons as to why I have the opinions that I do. But instead of actually engaging with any of my arguments, people just accuse me of being in the same camp as those morons who accuse a movie of being woke and then write it off completely. I'm not one of those people at all, and in fact, in this situation, they are the ones writing me off for some baseless label that they've applied. But enough about that, let's talk about Weapons. Unfortunately, I can't show much footage, so I'll have to keep this brief, but to sum it all up, this might be the best horror movie I've seen since either 2022 or even as far back as 2018. No joke. I'm not going to spoil the movie, but basically it involves multiple different characters with storylines that don't seem very connected, yet eventually intertwine in unexpected ways, similar to what the director did in his previous film, Barbarian, which was also great, but this is taking it to the next level. The mystery aspect of it works beautifully, as it seems to go off on a lot of strange tangents that keep things exciting, yet it never loses focus. Everything still revolves around those missing kids in one way or another. The cast is absolute perfection. Josh Brolin, Benedict Wong, Julia Gardner, all great, but the two best were actually the actor for Alex, who's the only kid in the class who doesn't go missing, and works as a great emotional anchor for the audience, and someone else who I can't even mention directly without spoiling the movie, but once you've seen it, you'll know who I mean. This is also the rare horror movie that's actually unnerving and somewhat scary, and funnily enough, Barbarian is also part of that club. There are a few jump scares, but they're all extremely well executed and don't feel gratuitous, and there are some really gnarly, gory scenes, but instead of feeling over the top or unnecessary, they heighten the disturbing nature of the scenes. The primary focus this movie has is on emotionally visceral moments, not physically sickening ones, which is why it's such a success. My heart was pounding during multiple scenes, through the whole third act, and even for minutes on end after I left the theater. It's not common for a movie to make you laugh, feel extremely sad for one of the characters, and then absolutely horrified within the stretch of a few minutes, but this one accomplishes that with flying colors. I had actually just watched a horror movie from last year called Cuckoo a few days before seeing this one, and the contrast was rather stark. Cuckoo similarly started out with a really strange, interesting premise in an enveloping setting and with a rather strong cast that carried an interesting set of character dynamics. But while Weapons heightened its intrigue until the very end and had every element come together perfectly for the finale, Cuckoo's ending was a confusing mess that totally derailed the interesting relationships that had been set up and devolved into a confusing, head-scratching shouting match that felt like it wasn't even from the same movie. The contrast one can draw between Weapons and other modern horror movies is very strong, and I think this movie succeeds where so many others attempt yet fail. It's got the most unsettling realistic horror elements since Woman of the Hour, and the best supernatural horror elements since Men and Hereditary, and I do not say that lightly. I've been disappointed by a lot of movies and shows in recent years, and the folks pissed off by my Alien video would clutch their pearls and gasp if they knew all the popular releases I'm referring to, but I'm glad to have my own opinion and not just follow the common consensus. You don't always have to agree with me, but all I can offer you is a perspective, and if you understand where I'm coming from, it might help you a bit in judging what you want to check out and avoid next. And, well, if you think my perspective is of any value when it comes to Weapons, then do yourself a favor and go check it out as soon as you can.